okay? I have a science for every restaurant we go to, okay? I know for a fact that when we go to Arby's, if I get the half-pound beef and cheddar, a large fries, a large drink, and a 6-piece cheese stick, that I'll be able to get home before the carbs make me pass out, okay? And I enjoy that type of lifestyle. You're not going to change my mind about that, okay? But here's the problem. Every once in a while, she'll reach over and grab a cheese stick, okay? Now, I know it sounds like just a cheese stick, but I don't know the proper cheese stick to curly fry ratio. I might put us in a car wreck, okay? She's endangering our lives by stealing this cheese stick, and she just doesn't care, okay? You can borrow my curly fries. It doesn't matter. Now I'm going to kill us all. It's not my fault. Another thing is, like, I'm not completely sure that men and women are meant to live together. Because women are pretty emotional. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, for instance, if my best friend, I don't understand it when people are like, I married my best friend, okay? Because if my best friend texts me and says, hey, I'm at the grocery store, if we were living together, I'm at the grocery store, you want me to buy anything? And I text back, shut up. He's going to take it as a joke. He's going to laugh, I'm going to laugh, he's going to come home, we're going to be fine. My wife, on the other hand, we were married for like, I don't know, 3 months at this time. And she texts me, I'm at the grocery store, you want me to get you anything? And I said, shut up. And I laughed when I sent the text message. I thought it was funny. She texted back almost immediately. And she said, why would you say that? And then I thought we were cool. I was like, I realized at that moment though that I couldn't like text her why I said it. It was a joke, but I was going to have to wait till she got home to explain it. Obviously, she didn't get the joke. So she comes home, and here's the thing that happened. She bought every single snack that's like my favorite snack. She's like, why are you mad at me? Here's all this stuff. Are you happy now? And I was like, I was happy in the first place. What are you talking about? She was like, why would you tell me to shut up? And I was like, it was a joke. She's like, I didn't laugh. And I was like, I'm starting to get that feeling. She goes, did you find it funny? And I was like, yeah, I laughed when I sent it. Like, I mean, I thought it was the best thing in the world. She was like, don't do that again. And she scared me because it was like she said it and she stared into my soul. And I was like, I'm never going to do that again. You're a good point. You have a good point. Now, on top of that, when you go shopping, like, when I go shopping, okay, if I'm shopping for work clothes, I go to Walmart, and in the men's section, in the middle of the section, there's aisles, okay? And you can find packages of t-shirts. They got gray, black, white, whatever color you want, really. They're doing pretty good in the packaging of t-shirts right now. And I'll grab a pack of 5 shirts. I work 5 days a week. And I'll go to the register, and I'm done. It's all taken care of. My wife, on the other hand, we don't even start at Walmart. I mean, you don't go to Walmart. We go to the mall. And we're there for like hours. And she'll look at one store. No, I don't like that. And then we got to go to another store. Okay? And then I'm just sitting there following behind her. And then you'll look over, and there's another guy following his wife. And you can tell he's been in it a little bit longer than you have. And you look at him and you think you're going to see hope. Instead, he just sheds a single tear. And you realize that this is what you've signed up for the rest of your life. And I think they need to create, I see them in a couple stores, but they need to be in every store, those like lounging areas. They need to make more of those, and it should be like, find your husband here. Like, because that's what it's for. There's never a woman going to the section, I don't think. I've never seen one. I've been in a bunch of them. I've never seen one of them. It's just me and a bunch of like 60-year-old dudes. And they don't talk about interesting things either. But she won't even let me trim my own beard though. Like, probably about 6 months ago now, I messed up. I tried to trim my beard, and I messed up, and it looked really bad. So I had to just shave it completely off. And then now I'll see like people talking about like, she got real mad first off. She's like, you're not doing that anymore. And I was like, I mean, I can if I want to. She was like, you're not doing it anymore. And I was like, you're right. And I see people now that at this time of year, they're like, no shave November, man. And I'm like, that's weak sauce, son. I got no shave November, don't shave December, just keep it January, faking with it February. It goes on and on, okay? And she does not mind. She wants it there all the time, okay? Because I'm ugly and I look like a 12-year-old without a beard. So I don't blame her. But the other thing is, like, she'll decide every once in a while that she wants to go on a diet. And there's no problem with that. It's just I don't. Like, here's the thing. Whenever I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, I think I'm going to go fishing, I don't make her go fishing. She decides she's going to go on a diet. That means I'm going on a diet. And the problem is I'm happy being fat. Okay? Like, here's the thing. Come wintertime, I've got a lot more insulation than you guys. Okay? I'm good in the cold. Now she makes me lose weight. And that's the thing though. I mean, there's so many little things where she's like, well, now you have to go on a diet. I don't understand. On top of that, she makes me stay up and defend the house. Like a couple years ago, there was a guy who got away from the cops and they considered him armed and dangerous. And I was working 2 to 11 at the time. And she called me at work. She was like, hey, this guy's on the loose. And I was like, okay. And she was like, what if he tries to break into the house? And I was like, I mean, it'd be kind of weird if he chose like our house out of every house. She's like, but what if he does? I was like, he's probably not even in Lawrence County. And another thing, if I ever commit a crime and I'm on the run, just accept the fact you're never going to see me again. I'm not going to stay in Lawrence County. Definitely not going to do that. But no, this guy, he stays. So she makes me stay up every night. She's like, you're going to stay up from when you get home at 11:30 to 6:30 the next morning whenever somebody else wakes up, and then you can go to sleep. Okay? And I had to stay up with a shotgun, waiting on the insane chance that this guy picked our house. By the third night, I wanted him to kick that door down, okay? Because I wouldn't have used the shotgun, okay? It was not going to be over that simple. But she makes me stay up and defend the house because it's my job. I don't understand how it's my job. I mean, I guess I do, but at the same time. I've also learned you can't argue and win with your wife. Okay? This is a true story. If there's anybody like younger than me, because I feel like older than me, you better learn this already. But I learned this lesson a couple weeks ago. I left my phone at Giovanni's. Okay? I went there for lunch and forgot it. I just set it on the table and forgot it. And anyway, the waitress decided to try to be nice and call the one contact in my phone that would know where I was, you know. And it was like, hey, your husband accidentally left his phone here. Apparently, she forgot to say at Giovanni's. She just said here. So my wife calls me and she's like, hey, Jenna said you just left your phone at her place. And I'm like, unless her place is Giovanni's, like, I already realized I left my phone there. She's like, well, who's Jenna? And I was like, a waitress at Giovanni's. She was like, how do I know that? And I was like, because I'm on my way to Giovanni's now. Do you want me to take a picture when I get it? Like, and she goes, on top of that, why are you losing your phone like that? You should be more responsible than that. And I'm like, hey, wait a second, okay? Couple things. One, it's rude to insinuate that Jenna from Giovanni's would do anything like that. She seems like a nice person, okay? Two, you lose your phone all the time. And on top of that, when you lose your phone, it's not charged. So I, being the loving, caring husband that I am, look for that dead phone, whether it be in the car, somewhere in the house. You left it at church one time. That was a weird one. I had to break into the church. I'm just kidding. I didn't really break in. But no. And I told her, I was like, so it's not fair for you to talk to me like that. And she goes, you know what? You might be right. I shouldn't have, just assumed that happened. But you didn't have to be so mean in pointing it out. You can't win. Okay? I won that one. That was mine. I won that one all the way. And she still wouldn't accept that she lost. But, let me see. Another thing is, which I do want to clarify, I do love being married. The rest of it's better than, the other stuff. But no, I want to find the guy that's doing the Facebook offers. Okay? Because I always see these offers on Facebook, and I want to find whoever's making them. Because I do just about every single one of them. Like, I saw one, it was like, would you slap your brother across the face for $100? What do you do for a full-on assault, good sir? I will beat them into the ground. What does that get me? Because honestly, I'll slap them for $10. I mean, I'm pretty cheap. Then it's like, would you live in this house? It's a 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom house with its own indoor swimming pool and spa, but you can never watch Game of Thrones again. Well, good sir, I haven't watched Game of Thrones in the first place. Sign me up. Now I got my house. Okay? Then it's like, would you slap your cousins for $100 a piece? Will you fly them in here? Like, I don't even talk to half of them. That'd be pretty fun. And then the kicker, the best one I saw was, it was like, for $100 million, would you shoot a family member? My brother shot himself in the leg on accident. Like, I can, for free, okay? So I can do it for $1 million. Like, what are you talking about? I'll shoot him, give him $1 million, and I'm good to go. I'm set for life based off of this one idiot on Facebook. That's all I'm saying. If I could find him, my life would be made. I wouldn't have to worry about anything else. But there's other things like I don't understand like that. They're like, I don't understand musicals because it's always weird. It never makes sense. Like, you'll be sitting there and they're like, there she is in the cafeteria, and nobody's reacting to this guy. He's just singing about whoever she is in the cafeteria. And then there's you never know what's happening. And they never address the fact that they just randomly break out into song. Okay? Like, here's the thing. I can tell you right now, I haven't personally tried it, but I played high school football. I dare you to break into a musical number in the middle of a game. Okay? You're not going to win. No, somehow they manage to sing and dance and still win. I don't understand it. But there's other thing I don't understand dealing with musical. I don't understand why singers, whenever they're like really getting it, look like they're in pain. Like, watch them next time. Watch them. No. And it's like, what's happening? Like, why are you in pain? And then like the guitar's behind him, looks like he's about to puke. Just, it doesn't make sense. And they never, like, they don't deal with that. They don't say like, like, I don't think you have to look like that to play a guitar. Maybe you do. I don't know. Another thing I don't understand, and I find funny, like, you guys ever, next time we collect tithes and offering here, watch the people around you, because this is what's going to happen every time. So, you're going to see, like, in every aisle, somebody's like, oh, I forgot something in my purse, and they look straight down, right? And they just keep looking down because they don't want to make eye contact with the usher. And they just keep looking down, right? And then the husband's sitting there and he feels left out, so he's like, did you find what you're looking for in your purse? And then he keeps his head down. And then like the neighbor's like, I don't really know you that well. Did you find what you were looking for in your purse? And then next thing you know, you have a whole aisle looking for something in some woman's purse, and the usher's just standing there waiting for you to make eye contact. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Another thing I don't understand is why crop dusting is the funnest thing in the world, but getting crop dusted can ruin your day. Like, I don't understand it. Like, I remember when I was in high school, I had this one group of girls at their table that I always hit up at the same time. Like, we walked into lunch, and I would walk around their table and get them all, okay? And then I'd walk off. And they blame the same girl every day. Like, they always blame one girl. I don't know what was going on in her life, but they blamed her. But then, like, you walk into a crop dusting, and there's a good chance you're going to want to fight somebody. Like, it's disgusting. I don't understand it. On top of that, I don't understand YouTube ads, okay? Because you want to know how not to get me to buy your product? Make me watch your stupid product before I watch whatever I'm wanting to watch. It's never going to work. I don't understand thin crust pizza, okay? Because you pay more for less pizza. It just doesn't make sense. I don't agree with it. I just don't get it. I don't understand why people who are really bad at relationships always try to give you relationship advice. It's like, well, I mean, on my second marriage, I used to tell my wife that she was stupid. And it's like, well, maybe that's why you're on your fourth. Like, what are you talking about? I don't understand that stuff. I also don't understand, like, if you get a salad at a buffet, just know that if you're with me, it's not going unnoticed, okay? I don't understand it. I will ask you questions. I don't understand romance in movies. Have you guys ever watched The Notebook? There's a part where he's like, "What do you want?" And she goes, "It's not that simple." He's like, "What do you want?" Here's the thing. This is how that really goes down. "What do you want?" Don't catch that tone with me. Who do you think you are? You're not going to get by with that. Another thing I don't understand is they'll like fall in love and get married, and then 4 years later, like the dude's still waking up at 4 a.m. to work out with Mark Wahlberg. Like, here's the thing. I gained like 40 pounds since I got married, okay? I feel like I shouldn't be the only one. So I feel like that's fake. Another thing I don't understand is like young kids playing online games, and they're like playing like games that are like really violent, and like they're laughing at you while you're dying. It's really rude, especially because like they're always better than you. Like you'll sit there playing out of nowhere, like you and two guys next to you just got killed by the same kid with one throwing knife, and it makes no sense. And he'll sit there like, "Hi, I got you," and you're like, "Yeah, you sound like you're 12." And he's like, "Better than you are." You got a good point there. I don't understand, like, reality TV. Like, there's nothing real about it. Kim Kardashian has no discernible skills and is more wealthy than everybody in this room combined. But I do have other things I don't understand, like, I want answers to. Like, do you guys think there's highlight videos of heaven? Seriously, do you? Anybody? I think there is. Because here's the thing. I like Ray Lewis. I don't worship him, but if I was going to worship him, I'd start with his highlight video on the Sports Center. So I think there's highlight videos in heaven of Jesus. And I hope there is, because there's like one miracle that's my favorite. And it's when he healed that blind guy. And he's sitting there and he's walking through the gates, and there's this guy sitting there begging, for money because at the time there was no way to help him. And Jesus just looks at him for a second and picks up some mud and then wipes it on the dude's face, right? And you know that when this happened, there had to be at least one guy in Jesus' entourage, like, not quite, like, he's disturbed. And then the guy getting the spit mud wiped on his face, he's sitting there like, "Did he just spit on me? Is that spit? Because it smells like spit." I think it is. And then the guy next to him is like, I heard him spit, so I don't know. So then, this is another thing you guys need to learn, and this is another thing I find interesting. Jesus doesn't give you everything, he just gives you the answers. Does that make sense? Like, when I was taking a driver's course test, my instructor would sit there, and he would be like, we'd be reading through the book, and he would go, "Okay, now this paragraph right here, that's the answer to question number 24. And you go through, and like by the end of the course, you have all the answers for the test, but he didn't take the test for you. So Jesus gives you all the answers, right? But then when he deals with the blind man, he says, "Okay, now go to the lake and wash yourself." He didn't walk him to the lake. He made that on that guy. He made him do it. Jesus doesn't give you everything. He gives you the answers. Does that make sense? On top of that, I don't think Jesus would be liked very much today. Okay? If you were to come in today, I don't think people would understand him. People wouldn't really like him that much. He drops too many spoilers. I don't know if you guys pay attention, but John chapter 10 is the chapter of spoilers. I think he says like 7 times, probably I'm exaggerating, but he says a lot in there that he's going to die. And it's not just that chapter. He did it his whole life. He's like, "Yeah, I'm going to die one day." And it's like he told them all the time. So you'd be sitting there and he'd walk up to you and he'd be like, "Hey, did you watch The Walking Dead?" And you'd be like, "No." And he goes, "Oh, he died." Like, "What?" He's like, "I just thought you'd like to know." And he'd walk off. He likes telling you information that he thinks you need. I don't understand, like, he's not tech savvy either. So it's like, you're going to be on your phone, and he's going to be like, "Why aren't you paying attention to me?" And you'll be like, "I'm tweeting this live." And he's like, "What?" Like, he's not going to get it. Another thing is, people are too drawn to their phones. Like, you'd sit there and you'd talk to somebody, and they wouldn't care. They'd be on their phone. He'd sit there trying to talk to them. "I am the way, the truth, and the life." And she's like, "I've got Google." Like, people wouldn't pay attention. And then he's not PC appropriate, okay? He's not politically correct. Ever. Like, that was his biggest thing, I think, was not being politically correct. He went to war with everybody when it came to that. He didn't care. But another thing I don't get is like certain types of prayer. Like, there's two prayers, and I call them the instructor's guide and the halftime speech. And the halftime speech is when, and we all know somebody that does it, it's when they say they're sitting there and they're like, I've actually heard somebody say the sky is the limit to God. But they say, you know, I know you can do it. You've got the power. You can do anything you want to. It's like, you think he doesn't know that? Like, he's been here forever. Whenever we're praying, we're not working or telling him something that we need. Like, that's not what we have to do. He knows what we need. We just have to talk to him, right? But people feel the need to give him a pump-up speech. Like, the only thing some of these prayers are missing is like a clear heart, full eyes, clear heart can't lose. Or clear eyes, full heart. I don't know. Nobody watches Friday Night Lights. But that's all it's missing from being a halftime speech, you know? And then the instructor's guide is the one where it's like, we need you to heal his leg. Touch him from his glute down to his Achilles tendon. Touch his knee. Touch his calf muscle. Touch everything in the leg, Lord. You know what's in the leg. Like, yeah, he does. He does. He created the leg. He doesn't need your help. Just say, you don't even really have to point him to the leg. Just say the body. He knows what part's wrong. I don't understand it. That'd be like, could you imagine if at work your boss walked up to you and was like, okay, I need you to clean this room. I need you to walk into this room and pick up the boxes that are on the floor, Steve, and I need you to move the boxes to the wall, Steve. And I need you to then pick up the other shelving, Steve, and move the shelving into place. I need you, like, you know how to put a room together. You don't need him to explain everything to you. But it's like, we all know and we all do it. Another thing is, I think sometimes we focus on the wrong things. Like, if I name 3 disciples, we all know what they're known for. Okay? We got Peter, Thomas, and Judas. Okay? Peter gets a lot of flack, and I don't understand why. And it doesn't make sense because, like, the one thing people get on to him about is he gets out of the boat and he walks to Jesus and then he breaks eye contact and he sinks, right? Now here's the thing though. Nobody else got out of the boat. Peter was the only one to get out of the boat. And here's the thing. We don't know what he broke eye contact for. Okay? Because here's the thing. If I was walking on water, I would look to see if it's somehow frozen. I just didn't notice it yet. Like, okay? So that's possible. And then the other one is he's looking back to brag. How do we know he's not walking? He's getting ready to look back and just... Like, you don't know. And so he falls. And everybody's like, oh, he fell into the water. We don't focus on the fact that he's the only one that got out. And then when he denied Jesus 3 times. Jesus knew he had a fixed amount of time with Peter, and Peter is known for pride. Okay? He was a very proud man. And Jesus knew he had to break him of it. Okay? So I think this is a learning experience for Peter. Okay? Because he had to learn that he was not stronger than he needed Jesus. He was not stronger than Jesus. He needed him. Okay? He didn't want to have his feet washed because of pride, and he cut a man's ear off to try to do what he thought was right. He had to be taught. So Jesus did that. Okay? He made him deny him 3 times, and then he realized on that 3rd one that he had messed up, and he learned his lesson. Okay? And then Thomas. Real quick, what is Thomas known for? Doubting, right? I'm sure he did a lot more than doubting in his life. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Like, he was a disciple. He did a bunch of things. And do you really blame him? Like, he just watched Jesus die 3 days ago. Okay? And then he's like, I want some facts. And everybody's like, oh, he doubted. Like, yeah, he did. I don't blame him at all. Okay? And then there's Judas. Now, Judas didn't do anything that anybody here hasn't done. Okay? He tried to make his will, or make God's will fit his will. Okay? So, sometimes whenever it gets close to Easter time, you'll hear people say, man, if I was there, I would have ripped him off the cross and saved his life. Did you read the same Bible I did? Because he had to die up there, bud. And that's what happened. Judas was just trying to help. The only difference is whenever we try to make God's will fit our will, we're not responsible for Jesus dying, okay? That's the only difference. And I think if I ever ran into Judas, this is the thing people don't realize. So Pearl Harbor is a terrible thing, okay? But if Pearl Harbor didn't happen, America doesn't enter World War II. We don't win the World War, if you can win it. We don't win it, and we don't hit the best economic boom in history, okay? If Judas doesn't betray Jesus, he doesn't die, none of us are saved, nothing works. Bad things have to happen sometimes for great things to happen. And so if I ever saw Judas, I think I'd give him a hug. And I'd say thank you, first off, because if he didn't screw up, one of us would have had to. But then I still would have punched him in the face, because that's not cool and I got to represent. So, but anyway, I've had a pretty good time tonight. I hope you guys had a good time. But I want to we're going to get a little serious here. So those of you who don't know, I got saved at the Heaven's Gates, Hell's Flames. And what happened was, a lot of my friends say I say that phrase too much. But what happened was, when I was young, 11 or 12, I realized that I was athletically gifted. I was also physically gifted. I was a lot bigger than most of my friends. And my family, we grew up very poor. And I realized that I had the strength and the power to pull us up out of the deep end. And I remember when I was a freshman, I got knocked out unconscious. Bad. It was the worst concussion I ever had in my career. And the doctor said, maybe he shouldn't play football. And I remember having a prayer where I told God, I don't care what your will is. I'm pulling my family out of this mess. And then every year I'd have an injury. Something that would sideline me just for a little bit. And it was the same idea. The funny thing was, I led the prayers before the games in the locker room. And I'm sitting there telling God what he's going to do. I remember one time, right before the season started, I sprained my ankle. And a friend of mine was like, man, I'm glad that God healed you. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. My hard work and pain threshold is what's keeping me here. He has nothing to do with it. He's trying to hold me back. And so I get to the end of high school, and I get the opportunity to go play college football. And then my girlfriend, who's now my wife, gets pregnant. And I felt this strong need that I was not meant to go play football. But I don't care what he thinks, I'm doing it. So I go to college. Remember, I'm supposed to pull us out of this hole. How am I going to pull us out if I don't get rich? So I go to college. And I'm not kidding. 3 days in, I got hit with something called rhabdo, which I still don't understand to this day. But basically, your muscles just start secreting the acid off of, whenever they tear. And your kidneys, there's too much of it for your kidneys to digest it. And so I almost killed myself. Straight up, my body tried to kill itself. But I don't care what his will is, because I got to pull us out of this hole. So I go about a week later, and I start having what's it called, your gallbladder? Started getting gallstones. And that healed. And I remember still fighting them. And I fought them, and I fought them. And also, something you got to remember is, another reason I was so vengeful, I would call it, is when I accidentally got my girlfriend, wife, now pregnant. A lot of people who I knew from, not a lot, but people from the church that I knew would say terrible things. And if that's how people of God are going to treat somebody who's in pain, I don't have anything to do with them. So anyway, we're in the middle of this. I healed from the gallstone. And then I'm doing what's called a thud up practice. And this is all me. I haven't even actually done any practice yet. This is all me just trying to get cleared to play. And I remember we're doing a thud up practice. I get hit in the head, and I get what was at least documented as my 4th concussion. And the doctor tells me, at the school, tells me that he doesn't recommend that I keep playing. And this time I caught it. I had a wife and a kid to look after, and I didn't want to be that guy who didn't know what he was doing. So I quit football, I quit college, and I came home. And I remember, it's funny, my way of thinking, because I come home and I'm sitting there like, God, if you are great, then why am I in this situation? When I spent the better part of 10 years telling them to, get off. And so then I started to drink. I drink a lot. I would go through 2 30-packs a week from the age of about 19 till October. And it helped me forget that I was the special one. I was the one that was going to pull my family out. By the way, I never did. I failed. But I look at it differently now than I did then. I could drink and get away from the pain. And I didn't care anymore. I would get drunk. My marriage started to fall apart. I never saw my kids because I was either drunk or at work. And then I went to Heaven's Gates, Hell's Flames, and they asked me to do it, and I agreed. And then they put me as Butch. And those of you who don't know me or the play, me and Butch are pretty much the same person. And I remember I went, we get to the first night, and literally back there in the very back aisle next to the camera is where I got saved. Because I remember we were getting ready to walk up the aisle, and I thought to myself, man, if Butch was Nathan, he's going to hell. He's not going to heaven. And then it hit me all at one moment what I had been doing wrong. And I literally, between the back and where I was supposed to say, get off my back, you jerk, that's where I got saved. That time frame. And I realized at that moment what I'd been doing wrong. And I told my wife immediately after the show. I told her, I was like, look, I just got saved, and we're going to start going to church whenever it's open. We're going to start, I'm not going to drink anymore. And I didn't realize how much of a drinking problem I had until I quit. Because I have to wake up every day and remind myself that with the power of Christ, I can go without drinking. And so what happened was that Wednesday night, I go to bed, and out of nowhere, my testimony, everything that has happened to me in my life started running through my head. And I remember it was like the thoughts were so powerful and so good that I didn't know what I was going to use them for, but I knew that my wife needed to be quiet because I was trying to think. And so then she fell asleep and I fell asleep, and I started having dreams about how you could walk through certain jokes, how you make this funny and that funny. And here's another thing. I don't shoot out of bed ever. You can ask my wife. Like it takes, you want to wake me up, it takes about 10 times. But this time, literally I shot out of bed, I looked at the clock, it was 2:30, and I realized it was almost like a verbal voice of like, if you do this, we can reach them. And I realized that in my life, normal preaching didn't work. I don't want to be told what I'm doing wrong. I want to have a good time. You know? I want to laugh. So what we're going to do is we're going to laugh. And that's what I came up with, was we're going to make something where it's not a service. You can invite your friends to it, and it's funny, and they can laugh, and then at the end we'll give them something to go home and think about. Because you got to reach them, man. But, anyway, my name is Nathan. I had a great time with you guys. Thank you.
Hey, Nathan. You can't give me a hug today. I see a really bright future for Nathan in writing books on how to raise children. I think it'd be a bestseller. I really do. Thank you, Nathan. We're blessed to have you here in the church, and you made us laugh and you made us think.